Meanwhile, the nuclear alarm has rung again. This time, the country to issue the threat is North Korea. Pyongyang says the legal conditions under which it would use its nuclear weapon have been fulfilled. The potential trigger is the current port visit of a US nuclear-capable submarine to South Korea. None other than the North Korean defense minister himself has issued the warning. The statement comes at a time when relations between the two Koreas are at one of their lowest points ever. Diplomacy has stalled. The North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, is calling for increased weapons development, including tactical nuclear weapons. Making things worse, a US nuclear-capable submarine made a port call to South Korea this week for the first time since 1981. Reacting to the development, Pyongyang's defense minister Kang Sun-nam said the arrival of the Ohio-class submarine on Busan port may fall under the conditions of the use of nuclear weapons. North Korea last year adopted a sweeping nuclear law setting out an array of scenarios in which it could use its nukes, these including preemptive nuclear strikes if threatened. Kang said the presence of the submarine was an undisguised and direct nuclear threat to North Korea.
South Korea's defense ministry responded to North Korea's warning of nuclear retaliation with a warning of its own on Friday. The ministry said that just as South Korea and the U.S. made it clear during the NCG meeting, North Korea will face an immediate, overwhelming, and decisive response in the event of any North Korean nuclear attack against the alliance that will result in the end of the North Korean regime.
Is Vladimir Putin planning to attack NATO? New statements from Russia. They say Putin will target NATO's soft underbelly, the so-called Achilles heel. And where exactly is that? Let me pull up the map for you. You can see Russia, Belarus, Poland, and the Baltic states. Now focus on this land between Poland and Lithuania. It's called Kaliningrad. This is Russian territory, Kaliningrad. Moscow took this land from Nazi Germany during the Second World War, and since then, it's been theirs. Now, Kaliningrad is surrounded by two NATO states, Poland and Lithuania. But there is a land bridge to Russia's ally, Belarus. This land bridge has a name, the Suwalki Gap or the Suwalki Corridor. It's around 100 kilometers long. It's sparsely populated, but it's NATO territory. The Suwalki Gap is shared by Poland and Lithuania. It's been called many things. The most dangerous place on earth, NATO's soft underbelly. But why would Putin attack it? Well, for strategic reasons. The Suwalki Gap is the only way to go from Poland to the Baltics, the only land route. If you take that, you can cut off the Baltic states. 3 NATO nations would be isolated from their allies. That's Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. So simply put, it's a choke point. The Kremlin itself has not said anything, but Russian parliamentarians explained how it would unfold. No Russian soldiers will be used in this operation. Instead, Wagner mercenaries from Belarus will engage. I know it sounds confusing. Didn't Wagner rebel against Putin just recently? Well, this Russian lawmaker claims it was all part of the plan. Wagner would rebel, their fighters would be exiled to Belarus, and once there, they would train. Satellite images show new military camps have popped up in the country in Belarus. Hundreds of Wagner fighters have started moving in. Reports say they could take the Suwalki Gap in hours. The question is, will Putin give the order? Suwalki is still NATO territory. An attack on this area would trigger Article 5 of NATO. What is Article 5? It says an attack on one member is an attack on all NATO members, meaning NATO would be at war with Russia officially.
If you are transgendered, the military may be a good place for you because they will let you out of deployment and pay for your sex change. And they will also let you out of physical fitness standards. Here is a new document, newly released, showing that the U.S. military's policy on transgender members. It includes provisions to skip deployments, receive indefinite waivers on grooming, physical fitness, and drug testing because they're going to pump you full of drugs. They have a plan for it. This is the plan. So if you're not trans, you go on deployments, you adhere to physical fitness standards, and you deal with your sad body as it is. But if you're trans, though, you can use the military health care as a clinique counter to make yourself whatever your little heart desires on taxpayer dollars. So let's look at the policy. They say that now the military must provide what they deem medically necessary transgender hormones and surgery. So along with this gender affirmation is a whole buffet of sex change services offered. Here's what the military says that transgender service members may need, such as speech and voice therapy, cross-sex hormone therapy, laser hair removal, voice feminization surgery, facial contouring, body contouring, breast chest surgery, which means you cut off boobs, genital reassignment. It also says that trans men, so females that want to get men to be men, can expect to get fatter and weaker because when you're on this hormone, it says you can expect an onset of body fat redistribution and decrease of muscle mass within 3 to 6 months. These are soldiers, you guys. You kind of want them to have muscle, right? This is the opposite of super soldier serum. You're supposed to go, if on your screen, you're supposed to go from the guy with the shirt to the guy with no shirt. But instead, we're going from the guy with no shirt to the guy with the shirt.
Well, grammatically, it would be sub-soldier serum.
Sub-soldier serum.
I like that.
Sub-soldier.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has issued threatening words to Poland, saying Moscow would react to any aggression against its ally Belarus. Putin accused NATO member Poland of having territorial ambitions in the former Soviet Union. Earlier today, Poland announced its military is redeploying more units closer to its border with Belarus after having already done so earlier this month. That was after reports of Russia's Wagner mercenary group training Belarusian soldiers. Both Russia and Poland share a border with Belarus. Now, Putin warned that so-called aggression against Belarus would be considered an attack on Russia.
As for Belarus, it is part of the Union state. And unleashing aggression against Belarus will mean aggression against the Russian Federation. We will respond to this with all the means at our disposal.